Hey everyone, I'm Christopher Napoli and I lead our wealth and asset management go-to-market strategy here at Snowflake. I'm very happy to walk you along a video of a demonstration that our outgoing intern class has put together, particularly about how to lever index data via the Snowflake marketplace and develop a data application that could help quantitative research analysts, strategy analysts, and those in investor relations. Prior to showing you all the demo, I'd like to just quickly walk you through a corporate taxonomy insights demonstration, particularly an area where we'll be able to take a look at revenue and how to micro-segment it out in order to provide insights based upon certain workflows in the financial services buy side, as well as, again, in investor relations for corporate organizations. This focuses very strongly right within our quantitative research and investment analytics, one of our main pillars about how we look to leverage Snowflake to help with the business use cases that are more prevalent in the buy side of financial services. The way we go about doing it and what we're really looking to highlight here is the financial services AI data cloud, how we could actually quickly procure information from organizations like FactSet, Bloomberg, Standard & Poor's, and other third-party market providers, enrich it with the information coming from either our service providers or our technology solutions that are also powered by Snowflake to rather quickly develop insights, and in this case, applications that will be used within the quantitative research process. So we're going to start from data sourcing, making sure that we have anomaly detections being occurred so that we're not letting in bad data. Use our machine learning and our Cortex AI, which is our generative AI solutioning, in order to quickly provide insights on data that may not normally have been able to be perceived using other methods. And all of that being done while we actually lever our Streamlit application so that we could quickly develop these for internal solutioning. At the end of the day, what we're looking ultimately here, and what we're very proud that the intern class has been able to accomplish, is to show how efficient, how easy, and how trusted the Snowflake platform is when we're actually looking to bring time to decision, time to making sure that the data that we have is accurate, and more importantly, that we can ultimately move forward in the investment management process. So without further ado, I'd like to pass it over to the intern class to demonstrate their demo. Thank you.
Hey everyone, so like Krista just said, I'll be walking through the solution that we developed, the goal of which is really to develop a centralized platform that allows strategy analysts, the quantitative analysts, and data analysts to have a tool that allows them to perform their jobs with increased efficiency, extracting valuable insights from complex data in a time-efficient manner. So I'll first begin by telling you about the data feed that we've chosen to use for this particular solution, which is FactSet's RBICS data feed, which stands for the Revere Business Industry Classification System. This data feed offers a clear and consistent way to classify companies by their industry, sector, subsector, etc., making it very easy to understand where a company fits into the broader market. For example, a company like Apple could be classified under the technology sector at the highest level, and then maybe within that, the consumer electronics industry, and within that, maybe mobile devices as a sub-industry. So within RBICS, we have 6 levels of classification, enabling analysts and investors to quickly compare companies within the same or similar sectors or industries, which make it an incredibly valuable tool for market analysis, portfolio management, and benchmarking. Its global coverage and well-defined structure help provide meaningful insights into industry trends and company performance, a lot of which you'll see us leverage through Snowflake's platform in the subsequent demo. So I'll quickly talk about this first tab you have present in front of you right now. So this is the company segmentation tab. This allows you to view individual companies and the segmentation of individual companies by querying the databases that we have in the backend and generating visualizations based on this return data. So before I hop into exactly how this works, I'll show you a quick breakdown of the sample views that we're using to generate these dashboards. So we have, for example, this one right here, the definition of which can be shown in front of you right here and can be retrieved in the source data for this particular demo, but essentially contains various information regarding companies, the revenue of these companies year by year, and how that's changed over time, as well as the makeup of a company and the segmentation information of each particular company that's been mentioned in the data feed. So to view this information, please reach out to the account executive or the particular the source data if you have that available at your disposal. So I'll dive now quickly into how company segmentation works. So let's take example company, for example. We can take Apple and enter that. It'll pull up then a set of dashboards as well as a dropdown that allows us to select between all the companies that have the prefix that we had specified, or at least somewhere in the entire company name it's present. And once we select the company that we want to view, in this case I chose Apple, the one we all know, the iPhone company. And once you selected this, it shows a bar graph that shows the business segmentation of this particular company and the different subsegments of this company and how much of the total revenue of Apple each sub-segment can make up. So for example, we have iPhone here with about 51.45%, services, wearables and home accessories, and Mac and iPad as well. So this is the current breakdown as of now, but if we wanted to dive more into historical data in this area, we can scroll down a little bit and you'll see this graph over here displays the same exact data from above, but historically, how this information has changed over time. And you'll see there's a few gaps in the data. This is largely just due to the fact that a lot of the times, the systems for classifications for different segments has changed as years go on. Oftentimes, segments combine themselves. Oftentimes, they split up from each other, and this will lead to sometimes gaps in these lines. But overall, we can see the general trends of different areas within this specific with this specific example, this specific company. And if we wanted to, we could also view the source data for either of these two by toggling the source data view with these two checkboxes. So for example, if I wanted to toggle the source data view for this first graph, simply have to check this button and it'll pop up the data that was used to generate this visualization. I also have the ability to generate an LLM-powered analysis here. So if I click this and wait a little bit, it'll generate an LLM-powered analysis that'll essentially cover or analyze the data that we're currently viewing in this current for this current company. And you'll see now the LLM-powered analysis that we've generated, allowing us to really get a quick summary of what we're viewing right now and how any actionable insights can be derived from them. But let's say, what do we want to do from here? Let's say we've decided we want to do some further analysis or perform some further analysis on one of these sub-industries or sub-segments of Apple that we're displaying here. So let's take a look at maybe the most, highest grossing or highest revenue segment, which is the iPhone segment right here. So we can dive then into the level 1 through level 6 filters, which are included in the source data here. So it's at the highest level, obviously the iPhone is in the technology sector, as are the rest of the segments. Within that, it's within hardware, within that communications equipment, and so on, all the way down to the most specific level at smartphone manufacturing. So let's say we wanted to take a look at the hardware industry, for example, and we want to examine competitors in that space because we want to see how other competitors, and since a large chunk of Apple's business comes from the hardware level 2 filter, we want to see other competitors in that space and analyze maybe how Apple is competing and how Apple is performing against them. So to do so, we simply have to hop on over to the market share analysis tab, where we first specify the technology level 1 filter. And once we've done that, it'll then filter automatically level 2 down to only level 2 filters that are within the technology level 1 filter. So once we do that, we can take a look at the visualizations that are populated now with this information. So you'll see that we've generated now a couple of visualizations here. We have first this bar graph over here, which essentially displays the information regarding the revenue of the main players in this particular space. So you'll see that we have Apple, Samsung, Dell, Sony, and LG. Obviously, when you think of hardware, those are the first names that would come to mind. So you can imagine that these are the largest players in the space. You'll have the revenue in millions over on the y-axis and obviously the company name on the x-axis. And this is for the year 2023. So you'll see that we have about $375 billion in sales for Apple in the year of 2023. If we wanted to change this to previous years, for example, if we wanted to hop down over to 2017, the visualizations will be altered accordingly. And you'll see that Apple now is in 2017 also was the leading player in the space, obviously not by as much as it is now, but Samsung was closely behind. And we can alter this as we want, as we see fit, to see maybe a deeper analysis of the particular year. We can also modify this data by extending the range of results. Let's say we want to see 1 through 10, for example. We can modify this and wait until the dashboards are populated again. And it'll show us now the first 10 results in this particular space. So if we wanted to go back to 5, for example, it can do that as well. And if we wanted to, we could also choose different ranges of results from maybe like 10 to 20 or 20 to 30 or 30 to 40. It's not just limited to the top X amount. That allows us to have a greater freedom of analysis, allowing us to narrow down a specific segment of the data if we needed to for whatever reason. And we obviously now have this second graph over here, which, similar to the previous tab, is historical data that essentially displays the same information as this bar graph over here, but over time. So you see, like all the way from 1980 up until now, it'll display information, and it's for the 5 companies that we're currently viewing in this bar graph over here to the left, and we can modify the companies that are being viewed here as we see fit. So for example, let's say we wanted to add Amazon to this particular list. I could type in Amazon.com, wait for it to populate itself, And then over here, I could choose any company that has the prefix. I'll choose Amazon Inc. because that's really the main one we want to look at here. And you'll see that when this graph does update, it'll now be updated with Amazon's revenue included as well. And we can obviously modify this as we want. We can eliminate items as well. Let's say I wanted to get rid of Amazon now. I could do so with ease, and it'll update the visualization accordingly. And as you can see below, we also have the similar ability to toggle the source data view for both of these visualizations as well, as we did on the company segmentation tab too. And we also have the LLM powered analysis button here, allowing us to, again, conduct a more in-depth analysis of the data we're currently viewing using an LLM to extract valuable insights from the data. And now if you look down here, you'll see we've generated that LLM powered analysis of the data that's visualized right here, allowing us to derive actionable insights with ease from this information that the LLM has provided for us. And now let's say we wanted to move on to something that isn't covered by these visualizations, some information that we can't get by altering the filters on this dashboard right here, or by using the company segmentation tab over here. What then could we do? That's why we've introduced the data retrieval chatbot to allow for you to conduct our more detailed analysis, our more specific analyses of specific questions you might have, and to potentially generate visualizations for those particular questions. So you'll see here now we have the chatbot that I mentioned before opened up, and we'll close over this bar to the left. And you'll see we have a couple settings at the top. One that simply is a toggle between the ability to display charts in our response or not. And the other one being just a toggle for the natural language response, which is essentially just a summary that the model or the chatbot will generate to cover and basically summarize the data that we just returned through the execution of its SQL query. So you'll see we have a couple sample questions we could execute, but just for the purposes of this particular demo, we'll stick with the theme we've been going with the entire time, the technology industry, and ask for the top 5 most profitable companies or most highest grossing companies in this industry. So say, what are the top 5 highest selling companies in the technology level 1 filter in, let's say, 2023? So you'll see here now the information we just returned from our question is exactly what we wanted to see. This natural language query summarizes the exact information we asked for. And if we wanted to, we could dive more into the details of the query that was executed by opening up this expander right here. And we can see the query that was generated by Cortex Analyst. And if we scroll down a little bit as well and open this expander, we'll see the raw results that were retrieved by this query and that were used to generate this natural language response. So this in itself is obviously very useful information, but it's not something that we couldn't get otherwise, essentially, right? If we wanted to go through the dashboarding functionality and retrieve the same information, we could do exactly that. So let's take more of a deeper dive into maybe something in this area to see something that we might not be able to retrieve using the dashboard functionality. So for example, let's look at growth rate. So which 5 companies within the technology level 1 filter had the highest percent growth rate between 2022 and 2023. So you'll see here now we've returned the exact results we wanted to see. And again, this is looking at the growth rate of companies within the technology sector, and it specifically outlines the sales before and after the year of 2022, 2023, and the growth rate between the two. So this is going to be information that's going to be very difficult to find, or even get close to finding through our dashboarding functionality. So it's really nice to have something like this that's able to extract this information in a quick manner. And again, we can look through the results returned by this, as well as this query that was executed to return those results if we wanted to, say, modify it or something of that nature. So let's now take a look into maybe another question we could ask to take a deeper dive into this particular area. We could ask something about maybe a more specific level of the hierarchy. So let's look at, let's say, the sub-regions that are within the technology sector. So say, what are the level 2 filters within the technology level 1 filter? So now you'll see we've returned the results that we wanted to see. And if we look at the results, it'll be a list of the 3 sub-industries underneath the level 1 technology filter. So now let's say we want to take a deeper dive, like I said, into one of these sub-industries. Let's grab, for example, software and consulting. Let's say we want to show the companies that are having the highest growth rate within this industry. Let's ask them, show all companies within the software and consulting level 2 filter that have a sales growth rate of over 100% between 2022 and 2023. And since this could potentially return a list of results that's extremely long and maybe hundreds of companies long, I'll go ahead and go up here and disable the natural language responses, just because I don't want to have to go through the whole process of making the LLM generate responses for a huge data set, which might take a few minutes. You'll see here now that we've returned the results that we wanted to see. This being a list of the growth rate of all these companies within the level 2 software and consulting filter. And this is 389, where 1 is a growth rate of 100%. So 389 would obviously be an extremely large growth rate. And this information would be extremely useful, especially if we were looking for disruptors in a particular industry. We wanted to see companies that have been growing rapidly, expanding the size of the company, expanding their sales figures, basically in general, making a disruption within the industry. This would be an extremely useful tool in doing so, especially for companies or investment firms that might have investments or some sort of interest in a particular area or sub-industry. And this will be useful information to figure out whether or not their interests are at risk, whether they should be cautious, whether they need to take action, and essentially derive any actionable insights from this data. So this has been my summary of the chatbot that I've built using Cortex Analyst, which essentially creates an agent that uses a semantic model representing the structure of the database that we're operating on to generate SQL queries based on user input, and then the interpretation of the user input that is then turned into the query and then executed to return the results. After that, we then use Cortex AI to generate an LLM-powered summary of the results, which optionally can be toggled by the user. And then this can be used in general to provide a set of incredibly valuable insights as I've just displayed. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, everyone, for sitting through the video and the demo that we have just presented to you. Again, if you are interested in thinking about how to leverage the Snowflake platform to actually derive an application like this that does help in your investment research process, please do not hesitate to reach out to the Snowflake team, whether that's your account executive, your sales engineer, or if you'd like to just use the contact us form, and we'll be happy to reach out to you to help you shorten that time to decision, more accurately leveraging the next and the greatest in generative AI and machine learning applications via Snowflake. Again, thank you all for your time and look forward to hearing from you.